Peace, family. It's your brother Chase back at you again with another reactionary video. And check it out, man. Today we're going to be breaking down a video that has gone viral on TikTok from a Haitian tether. And I don't use that word tether loosely. This is in direct response to some of her rhetoric and her actions really over the years, family. You dig? And remember, tether is an action term. Just because you're an immigrant in this country doesn't mean you're a tether. Your actions as an immigrant towards foundational Black Americans make you a tether. So her constant undermining, her constant disrespect is what makes her a tether. So we're going to be breaking down that video today from a very analytical and a non-emotional standpoint so we can learn some things from it, so we can get some game from it, okay? And we can know how to deal with these BS talking points. You dig? But before we get into that, let me thank the family for the overwhelming amount of love and support you guys showed me last weekend. Of course, you know my 20th book release, When Black Americans Stop Singing and Start Swinging. It is on Amazon right now. Make sure you go get that ASAP. Link is in the bio. With that being said, like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon, and comment down below where you're from, your city, your state, and let them know FBA is in the building. With that being said, let's get into the video. Now, this first video I'm going to show you from her is just proof that she's Haitian. Okay, before we get into the main video, I'm just going to show you like a couple seconds of this video to prove she's Haitian, because what a lot of these tethers have done now, they've kind of removed those flags out their bio. All right. And that's in order to cosplay and act as our representative, like they're one of us Black Americans, because you're going to hear her say that. Us Black Americans, she ain't do nothing for Black, us Black Americans. No, you're Haitian, man. So we're going to prove that with this. And here's her. This is from like earlier this year, late last year. I can't remember. Here we go.
And to the Haitians out of New York that had a message for ICE, baby, when I tell you I've never been more proud, I told y'all. You see what happened? Y'all spent so much time in this country, Black and white. Haitians don't need to be here. Y'all leaving. Haitians ain't going nowhere. Try to told you. Try to told you. Thank you. That's what happens when you keep coming for the divine. You keep coming for the protected. You feel me? Did you peep how they sent the Black off?
Okay. We ain't finna go too much door, but she's Haitian, okay? So the Haitians are divine. The Haitians are protected. You dig? And how the Haitians fought back against ICE officers, but they're not fighting back in their homeland. You dig? They got to come over here and fight. I wish they had that energy to fight in their homelands, but nonetheless, let's get into the main video. Her disrespect of our great ancestor who just recently passed, Assata Shakur. Let's get into that video, family. But that's proof she's Haitian. Okay, here we go.
I'm going to keep it a buck. I'm not too broken up about Assata Shakur's passing because, A, I find it very ironic you pick an African name, you flee to a Latino country for asylum, but what the hell did you actually do for us? Assata Shakur was for self. Much like a lot of those Black Panthers, that's why they were dismantled. You use the struggling and suffering of Blacks to further your own movement. And before you get all pissed off, let me explain something to you.
No, ma'am. Hold on. Let's stop you right there. Slow your roll. Slow your roll. And to show you how disingenuous these tethers are, I'm going to show you first, before I even cook her myself, I'm going to let her own words cook what she just said, family. This is this woman, and her name is like Bonnet Business or something like that on TikTok. This is her just last year speaking about Assada Shakur to show you how disingenuous their arguments are. Okay, to show you how they just say things. They say and disrespect foundational Black Americans in order to get clout and to go viral. This is her last year, family.
Tonight, I want to talk about how Cuba takes care of Assata. If you don't know who Assata Shakur is, I'll make another video on that. Normally, like I said, I tell y'all go look it up, but no, because I'm so passionate about this, I'll make you another video if you don't know who Assata Shakur is. And like I said, people send me their videos and their think pieces, and I respond on my page. I don't really care to tag them because if I don't agree with your think piece, I'm not tagging you. I'm just going to make my own. And there was a dude who made a 10-minute video, and I watched every minute of it, talking about Cuba needs to turn Assata over to the U.S. So I'm going to make my video as to why Cuba does not have to and should not and will not. Assata did a lot for black people.
Yes, you heard it right, family. This is just from last year. This was like December last year, family. December 2024. You heard it right. This shows you the disgusting actions, mindset of these tethers. She literally just said last year, Assata Shakur just did a lot for black people. Now she waits until Assata Shakur, our dear sister's death, in order to attack her, in order to use this moment, use that trend, in order to tear down foundational black Americans, not just Assata Shakur, but our groups and armies who came before her. This is why we're delineating, family. This is why we're delineating. How the hell can less than a year ago you just said she did a lot for black people? Now all of a sudden she ain't do nothing for black people. You can't make it up. I don't even need to really do a reaction video. She debunks herself. She debunks herself. Let's hear it one more time just to make sure we didn't miss anything. This just to make sure we didn't miss anything.
To the U.S. So I'm going to make my video as to why Cuba does not have to and should not and will not. Assata did a lot for black people.
All right, there you go, from the horse's mouth, literally and figuratively. You dig? Now let's get back and let me cook some of her talking points that she's talking about and add more nuance to it, family. Because we want to use this as an educational standpoint to educate the babies out there. Because I told y'all on TikTok has a young demographic. And what happens is you have a lot of these babies who are hearing some of these names for the first time. Assata Shakur, the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army. They're hearing some of these names and figures for the first time, so they're very impressionable. They're like, oh, damn, I didn't know that. And you know some of these babies are not going to go and do a deep dive research on it to actually get the truth. That's why we have to take these videos, break them down, debunk them from a non-emotional standpoint, and provide actual truth and substance to it. You dig? So now let me respond. Now, she said Assata Shakur didn't do anything for black people, and we know that was a lie because she herself just admitted that Assata Shakur did a lot for black people. Assata Shakur was one of the greatest warriors in foundational black American history. She was a part of the Black Liberation Army, family. And a lot of people don't know about the Black Liberation Army because they weren't mainstream. The Black Liberation Army was offshoots of the Black Panther Party in the 60s, in the RAM movement, the Revolutionary Action Movement. Okay, they went underground. The Black Liberation Army was their underground army in movement. A lot of y'all think the Black Panthers completely disappeared after the 60s. No, many of them went underground along with other organizations. Many of them said, okay, listen, that stuff that was going on in the 60s, brothers and sisters getting lynched, fire holes, dogs sicked on them, we ain't finna do that. We're going to go guerrilla war style on these white supremacists, in their soldiers, these suspected race soldiers, especially in law enforcement. So our sister Assata Shakur was part of that movement, and they put in a lot of work, Assata included. They were robbing airplanes, they were robbing banks, they were killing police officers who were attempting to kill them. And Assata Shakur was a part of that, allegedly, because our sister claimed her innocence, but we know she was involved in a shootout that left a police officer in New Jersey dead. Okay. And the white supremacists were trying to railroad her. They were trying to throw her in jail, and they did lock her up and throw her in jail. And it was the Black Liberation Army who broke her out of jail again. Okay. These brothers and sisters were really stepping by any means necessary. They weren't waiting on the white supremacists to deliver on those civil rights and justice that they guaranteed in the 1960s. They were taking it within their own hands. They said, and they truly live what Malcolm said, the price of freedom is death. So I'm not going to sit up here and watch you railroad my sister. I'm going to take actions into my own hands. I'm not going to sit up here and wait for these racist race soldiers in law enforcement to pull me over and kill me. I'm going to shoot them first. How dare this tether sit up here and say they didn't do anything for black people after they sacrificed and laid down their lives? Understand this, family. You still have members of the Black Liberation Army, quiet as kept, in prison now. They're still locked up. Brothers like Russell Maroon, okay? Brothers like Anthony Bottom, who are still locked up to this day for the work they put in the 70s in order to cement our civil rights, to make sure they weren't violated without consequences. Shout out to those brothers. Make sure you go get their books. Make sure you go support their works. Because without them, we wouldn't be here to this day as foundational Black Americans. Okay? Her brother, her whole family was revolutionary. Her brother, Assata Shakur, died in prison off work he put in the 60s and the 70s, making sure foundational Black Americans had their civil rights and could walk in this country with their head held high. How dare this tether sit up here and disrespect them? And it was that revolutionary energy that Assata Shakur helped to shape, that Assata Shakur helped to shape, that gave birth to a Tupac Shakur. Not saying they were his parents, but gave birth to his ideology and the way he thinks. That's why Tupac came off such revolutionary, because he wore that Shakur name. He was raised around that Black Liberation Army and that movement. Remember, a lot of people forget, Tupac shot 2 cops. Where do you think that energy came from? Remember, Tupac saw 2 undercover cops down here in Atlanta jumping on a brother. He pulled over on the side of the road and shot him. Where do you think Tupac got that energy from? The Assata Shakurs he was raised around, who was his godmother. The Assata Shakurs. He came from that Black Liberation Army energy. You better put some respect on their name, ma'am. Put some respect on their name, our freedom fighters. Is this woman crazy? And they weren't just the only ones. They weren't just the only ones. Rest in power to the brothers and sisters who lost their lives being part of RAM, the Revolutionary Action Committee. Rest in power to the brothers and sisters who lost their lives part of the Black guerrilla family in prison. Rest in power to George Jackson, who was tired of seeing Black inmates killed by these white correctional officers in prison. So he snuck a gun in prison and killed one of those white correctional officers. He laid the murder game down in prison. He said, no, we the Black guerrilla family. Any brothers being harmed out here in California in the prison systems, which spread across the country, they're going to be under our protection. A revolutionary, you dig? And after he was killed, it was members of the Black Liberation Army who went out there and killed 2 cops to avenge his death. See, the media wants us to believe that it was the Dr. Kings of the world. Rest in power to Dr. King. It was the John Lewises of the world who were marching and getting beat up on bridges in Selma, and the white people of the North. Oh God, dude, they saw it and they just said, dude, the Negro can't live like this. We have to do something. And they just gave us our civil rights. No. It was them long, hot summers of 1967, family, when brothers and sisters were turning up and giving these white supremacists billion-dollar bills in these cities. It was brothers out in California in the 70s who said, we're not going to go another decade without you giving Black folks civil rights, created an organization that was an offshoot of the Nation of Islam that they don't tell you about, called the Death Angels. And they were just out there randomly killing white people. It's known today as the zebra killings. Every night they would just go out there and kill white people. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But they did whatever they felt necessary in order to make sure their people could walk with their head held high and be safe in America. And it shook the Bay Area. It was the Black Liberation Army. It was RAM and other unsung names that we don't know about, who are lost to history, who made sure that our people were safe and good. I want y'all to really understand that. It wasn't the Black Americans in the 60s who were singing who got us our rights. It was the Black Americans who were swinging. And while at the same time they were doing that, she's talking about they didn't do nothing for Black folks. The Black Panthers introduced the free breakfast for children program. The reason why kids in public schools now have free breakfast is because of the Black Panther Party. That started with them. Think of all the children that are fed in the morning at schools around this country because of the Black Panther Party. If you don't knock it off, they gave us the 10-point system. The Black Panther Party was a tremendous asset to foundational Black Americans. A tremendous asset. Stop playing with their name. With that being said, let's continue.
A lot of y'all that are Black in this country, the Black Panthers, as radical and loud as y'all are, baby, you would not have been accepted. The Black Panther Party did not like anybody who was LGBTQ.
Oh,
they didn't care for anybody who was of a different background. Like, if you were not strictly Black American, they didn't give a fuck about you.
Let's cook this talking point. Okay. The Black Panther Party were anti-LGBTQ. That is a complete lie. Complete lie. And there's this notion, and that's why I get on them. They love to make foundational Black Americans the face of anti-LGBTQ. Boy, if your ass go to the Caribbean talking about that LGBTQ shit, they'll stone your ass. They'll stone your ass. Don't go to Jamaica and places like that talking about some damn LGBTQ. They don't play that shit down there in the Caribbean, okay? We're the only ones who kind of let people live their lives and tolerate it. Hell, foundational Black Americans, it was our civil rights movement that has been the foundation of many of these LGBTQ rights that have been passed in this country, okay? The stuff that we did in the 60s and 70s. All their civil rights are latched on to what we did. Stop the plan. And we could simply go to the work of the founder, one of the founders of the Black Panther Party, our good brother, foundational Black American brother from Louisiana, Huey P. Newton. We can look at his letters and look at his work to show that he wasn't anti-LGBTQ, neither was the Black Panther Party. Listen up. Now, this is from a book called H.P. Newton, the Huey P. Newton Reader. And what this is a collection of Huey P. Newton's letters that he put out. And so they kind of, just made a whole book out of his letters. But this is one thing that Huey P. Newton said in his letters. And this is from August 15th, 1970, speaking on the women's liberation movement and the gay liberation movement that was going on in the country. This is the 1970s, remember. Okay? Huey P. said this: "But there is nothing to say that a homosexual cannot also be a revolutionary. And maybe I am now injecting some of my prejudice by saying that even a homosexual can be a revolutionary. Quite the contrary, maybe a homosexual could be the most revolutionary." All right. He goes on to say, when we have a revolutionary conferences, rallies, and demonstrations, there should be full participation of the gay liberation movement and the women's liberation movement. Some groups might be more revolutionary than others. We should not use the actions of the few to say that they are all reactionary or counter-revolutionary, because they are not. Okay, so he's inviting the gay liberation movement, the women's liberation movement, with the Black Panther Party. Okay, he's saying they should be involved in it. He's not denying them. He's saying they should be involved. He goes on to say, let's jump over to page 159, as you can see at the top, 159. That was from page 158. "We should be willing to discuss the insecurities that many people have about homosexuality. When I say insecurities, I mean the fear that they are some kind of threat to our manhood. I can understand this fear because of the long conditioning process that builds insecurities in the American male. Homosexuality might produce certain hang-ups in us. I have hang-ups myself about male homosexuality. But on the other hand, I have no hang-ups about female homosexuality. And that phenomenon in itself, I think, is probably because male homosexuality is a threat to me and female homosexuality is not. We should be careful about using those terms that might turn our friends off. The terms faggot and punk should be deleted from our vocabulary. And especially, we should not attach names normally designed for homosexuals to men who are enemies of the people, such as Nixon or Mitchell. Homosexuals are not enemies of the people." Okay? we should try to form a working coalition with the gay liberation and women's liberation groups. We must always handle social forces in the most appropriate manner. Okay, this is in the 70s. So he was speaking out in support of gay liberation movements and also calling out people who call people who come from a homosexual background derogatory things like faggots and punks, different things like that. So he was calling them out. This was in the 1970s. So what is this lady talking about? The Black Panther Party was anti-LGBTQ. This is the damn leader of it. This is the damn leader of it, Huey P. Newton. Let's be clear, family. And again, that's from H.P. Newton, the Huey P. Newton Reader, pages 158 and 159. Also, she told another lie that tethers love to tell nowadays, that the Black Panther Party didn't like anybody who wasn't Black American. Stop the cap. Stop the cap, ma'am. One of the earliest members of the Black Panther Party was Brother Kwame Ture, a.k.a. Stokely Carmichael, who was Caribbean. Hell, the head of the Black Panther Party out there in New York was a Caribbean brother by the name of Fred Hampton. Okay, I believe he was from Trinidad, as well as Stokely Carmichael, aka Kwame Ture, was from Trinidad. One of the men who was responsible for getting guns early on to the Black Panther Party was a Japanese man by the name of Richard Akey. Hell, it was Fred Hampton, who was Caribbean, out there in New York, who was kind of like the person who started the Rainbow Coalition, where they had all these different groups come together. You dig? They were always trying to get white, Black, Latino, all these other groups together. And hell, in my opinion, that was their downfall, because it was that same Richard Akey, who was Japanese, who turned out to be an FBI agent. Okay? He was working with COINTELPRO and them and helped to infiltrate the Black Panther Party. They had so many other groups of people coming in. That's why they had so many informants around them. And hell, every other group during the 1960s and 70s knew the Black Panther Party wasn't anti any other group. That's why they created spin-offs and offshoots of the Black Panther Party amongst their own little groups. Remember, amongst the Latinos, you had people who created spin-offs of the Black Panther Party in order for their groups to get their own little civil rights intangibles. You had the Brown Berets. You had the Young Lords. Amongst the Asians, they created a group that was a spinoff of the Black Panther Party called the Red Guard out there in California, who directly modeled their 10-point system after the Black Panther Party's 10-point system. You even had white people who drew inspiration from the Black Panther Party. Remember, you had a group of white people who created the White Panther Party. They created the White Panther Party. A lot of y'all never heard of the White Panther Party, who drew direct inspiration from the Black Panther Party. You had racist white people in the 1960s who had organizations who started to model their organizations after the Black Panther Party, like the Young Patriots of America. Look up the Young Patriots of America. Their flag was a damn Confederate flag. Their flag was a Confederate flag, but they drew inspiration from the Black Panther Party. That's why they joined the Rainbow Coalition with the Black Panther Party. You dig? They even used to call their business district Hillbilly Harlem. That's how much inspiration they drew from our movements. And remember, family, that's just domestically. Remember, a lot of people don't know, you had a British Black Panther Party. You had the Australian Black Panther Party. You had the Dalit Black Panther Party. The Dalits are basically the Black people of India, sometimes known as Dravidians or the Untouchables. You dig? They were trying to fight for their civil rights because of their skin color. They were looked at as the Black people of India who were being mistreated, so they created the Dalit Black Panther Party. You had the Polynesian Panthers way out in the Pacific. So if the Black Panther parties weren't for anybody but Black Americans, and I guess they were this hate group that only cared about Black Americans, why is everybody, including racist white people, drawing inspiration for them and modeling their programs after them? Because you're capping. You're capping as usual. You're doing what tethers do, which is being very disingenuous, deceitful, lying in order to tear down the movements of foundational Black Americans. You're being a tether, living up to the name. But let's continue.
So, like I said, and then she killed a police officer, and the movement she was, what was it called? the Black Liberation Army or whatever the fuck broke in prison, took some people hostage, and broke her out. She left in a van and all that shit.
Yeah, took justice into their own hands. Took justice into their own hands, like your ancestors did in Haiti. You dig? It's crazy. They come over here and they push these tropes, not realizing that white people push the same tropes about them. They say y'all killed a bunch of just innocent white people. That's why your island is cursed. That's what the white people say. Then you run around here talking about, oh, she killed police officers. They just broke out of prison. No, we took justice into our own hands. Let's put the right nuance on it. But this is a tether. This ain't no real Haitian rider. Understand, the Dessalines, the Two Saints, the Mackendalls, they got people like this up out of there. Remember, during the Haitian Revolution in them early days, they targeted a lot of the collaborator class, a lot of the coon class who sit up here and talk like this. Never forget that. Let's continue.
Whatever. And then she fled to Cuba, but Fidel Castro granted her political asylum. And that's what I want to bring to attention. Now, you don't advocate for anybody black outside America, but
and that's cap as well, family. That's cap as well. The Assata Shakur talked about global imperialism all the time. She's on film talking about it. One of her rare interviews, because the sister tried to stay very low key out there in Cuba. She understood that the CIA and all these groups were trying to look for her. So, she stayed very low key out there. But when she did have interviews, she talked about how imperialism was a poison that was death to all people, not just in the United States, but globally. She spoke out. Here's a clip of her now.
To understand that more and more the condition of my people, my history was very much connected with other oppressed people, and I began to see that the same foot that was on the necks of the Vietnamese people, that was on the necks of all oppressed people on the planet, was the same foot that was on my neck. And so I began to understand that imperialism has to go. It is a poison that is killing people all over this world. And I became more and more active. And as I became more and more active, the government became more and more repressive.
All right, there's our sister Assata Shakur talking that talk right there, talking about ending imperialism around the world with the Vietnamese and other places, okay? And talking about how the government targeted her because of that. All right, so what is this lady talking about? Again, these tethers just lie. They're disingenuous and dishonest. All right, well, let's get back to the video.
Outside America, but the Latino countries are the only place you can go for asylum.
Oh, Lord.
You didn't go nowhere that was primarily black. You didn't go to Jamaica. You didn't go to, you didn't go to Africa. Why the hell did you?
And why is that? Why couldn't she go to those places? Why didn't one of those quote unquote black countries, 100%, 99% black countries like Jamaica and Africa, why didn't they take that sister? Okay, that's an interesting point, but go ahead. Let me hear what she's saying.
Pick Cuba because if you can't go nowhere else on this earth, Latinos will protect you.
Ma'am, if you don't knock it off, if you don't stop it, Latinos ain't protecting nothing. Understand this. Our sister Assata Shakur was a political tool. What was happening was a lot of the United States, and the United States has been doing this, what they would do was they would take a lot of people who were considered quote unquote terrorists in places like Cuba, people who would attack Fidel and try to assassinate Fidel Castro. They would run to the United States and get refuge over there. Okay, over here in the United States, and the United States government would protect them, even though they were terrorists back home. Okay, let's be clear. So what Fidel said was, oh, well, shit, I'm going to take one of your quote unquote most wanted, one of your quote unquote terrorists, and I'm going to give refuge to them. So that was kind of a pawn, a political game in order to get leverage. Okay, like, okay, you're going to accept my prisoners, people that try to assassinate us, people who try to take down our government over here. You're going to give them refuge in places like Miami and other places. Well, hell, come on, Assata Shakur. She can come over here and chill with us. I don't care if she did kill a police officer. All right. So that was kind of like a political game. They were going back and forth with the United States. And as far as Latinos acting as safe haven for Black people, if you don't knock it off, if you don't stop it, ma'am, you're Haitian. Ma'am, you're Haitian. Y'all can't even go to the other side of the island. The Latinos won't even let y'all on the other side of the island in the Dominican Republic. If you don't knock it off, Dominican Republic, I remember they put out an article last year. Their president was talking about how he planned on deporting 10,000 Haitians a week. They won't even let y'all go to the other side of the island. All that safe haven talk. If that was a safe haven, why the hell did your family run to Miami instead of the Dominican Republic, which is on the other side of the island? Safe haven. Are you kidding me? Safe haven. Dominican Republic got so much anti-Black sentiment for y'all. People don't even remember that Dominican Republic is on the same damn island. It's the same island. Y'all can't even go to the other side. What happened to that safe haven? Knock it off. Knock it off. Because you're Haitian and you know the truth. You know the truth. There's a reason why you came to Miami and not the other side of the island. So knock it off, ma'am.
So at the end of the day, it's sad she passed, but it don't affect me in no way, shape, or form. And I don't give a fuck what you have to say.
Oh, Lord.
Again, just because I'm Black, nah. Black Panther Party really didn't do shit for us either besides give underprivileged Blacks the WIC program. And that's it.
Oh, Lord. And again, this is why we're delineating, because she ended with just because I'm Black. No, you're a Haitian tether. You're a Haitian tether, family. You're not a foundational Black American. Okay, the Black Panther Party, Assata Shakur, they were foundational Black Americans, ma'am. You don't speak for us. See, they love to use the we all Black card when it's time to throw salt and muddy up our culture. They love to use the we're all Black. No, you're a Haitian tether. Okay, stand on that. And this is why, again, we are delineating, family. We are delineating. And I'll end this video with this. As a Haitian tether, what have you done for Black people? You talking about what Assata Shakur didn't do and what the Black Panther Party didn't do for Black people. What have you done for Black people, ma'am? Nothing but leech, throw mud on us, and create a bad representation. She's got her whole damn profile is a bonnet business, sitting up here putting on a bonnet, talking nonsense, and then hollering, I'm Black. No, you're a Haitian tether. That's Haitian culture you're displaying right now. Don't throw that mud, don't throw that salt, do not throw that funk on us. You dig? We are our own separate group and unique lineage of people. We are foundational Black Americans. We have nothing to do with you or people who talk like you. It's your brother Chase. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Please go get my newest book, When Black Americans Stop Singing and Start Swinging, because we have to get a proper understanding of history and what really happened. This is volume 1. We're going to touch on the Black Liberation Army, RAM, Action Area Movement in the future. That'll be in volume 3. But right now we're setting the precedent on what our culture as foundational Black Americans was really built off of. It was built in fire, it was built in resistance, and it was built on standing on business by any means necessary in the belly of the beast, which is the United States of America. So like I say, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, go get that book link in the bio. And until next time, family, drop a comment below. Tell me what you think. Am I tripping? Not tripping? Does she have a point? Does she not have a point? Let me know in the comment section below so we can have a respectful conversation. Till next time, peace and Black power. I'm out.